We're here with Lynn Pauly.
How do you want me?
Hi, Lynn. Well, let's start with the sketchbook.
It just keeps
Let's start with the sketchbook, and we go from there. So, right now you're just finishing up the last page in your sketchbook. Yeah, and then we're gonna look at some pictures you brought, and then we'll go through the sketchbook, right? Yeah.
Ask for my
See your permission.
right.
Well, it's kind of a given in the underground
I
artist
now. I
league.
have a date.
Yeah, that's the price of
do?
admission.
Oh, all right. All right, here we go.
So you're filming me right now. Is that
Tell me about your kit. Can you talk about your kit here?
my kit? Yes.
I noticed you have
It's a Van Gogh. These are Van Gogh watercolors.
descriptive. Yes. Okay.
They actually came all the way from Holland because that's where they're made.
Sure. Yes.
The company, it's got another name.
Yeah. I know the company.
What is the company?
Royal Talons.
Yes. Oh my God. You know everything about watercolors.
Well, I know some stuff.
Okay.
All right. Let's go. Let's look at your pictures.
Want to go back to front or start to begin?
Oh, let that dry over here. I don't want that to.
Oh, we're going for my pictures.
Yeah, you want to go through the pictures first.
All right.
All right, Lynn's going to show us her.
These are not. These are
There we go.
my studio work.
This is what you would call studio.
That is going to be framed
Right?
and displayed. Okay, the first pieces are St. Paul. It's a Russian church,
St. Paul is in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Minnesota. Okay. These two are the Guardian building downtown.
You know, because we don't know because you travel so much.
I'm telling you, yeah, all of these first ones are St. Paul, Minnesota.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Those are nice. Yes.
Okay, this is the Little French Church of St. Louis, which is over on 10th and Cedar.
Sure.
This
Beautiful
is
church.
the,
I know where that building is too. That's right across from the St. Louis Church.
it is. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
It is. It's got like French architecture. Yeah, I forget the name of it.
Exchange building?
It's the Exchange building, but it used to be like a club for a while. I think. That's pretty nice.
Okay. And this is,
Let me take a
yeah, that's,
extra careful look at this. Oh, that's beautiful. Nice job.
yeah.
Okay, what's this? These look like that looks like a
Construction on
tractor.
9th Street, which was like a 4 to 5 month project. It's
sure.
now finished. Okay,
Would
this
that be
is
quantified as a still life?
I got.
this is the a house in Hastings.
That's in Hastings. I know where that's right off the main drag in Hastings.
I think so.
Not far from. There's a waterfall there too. Did you know that? Not too far from this house.
Okay.
Anyway,
This is at the prison wall in Stillwater.
Yeah,
Lisa Marie
this is-
might recognize this. She was there.
Right, right.
recognize
That was a
that?
good day. It's a chilly day.
Freezing day.
All right.
Okay, now we move to Paris.
That would be
If
nice.
we
And
must,
Sure.
if you insist.
Be nice to move to Paris.
some of these I have the street address, but these first two I don't.
All right. Well, let's just
I
say
can
this is
find them.
Moulin Rouge.
All right,
All right.
except it's not.
All right.
Okay, these are just your typical street scenes taken from days when I was sitting outside at cafes.
Yeah. Right.
Chez Levesque is a restaurant.
Okay. Very nice.
Another little street side cafe.
Put the light on that. That's very nice. Beautiful.
Another one.
And how many days were you in Paris total?
6 days in the city. And some of these I did at home. Once I got home,
Sure.
studio work.
Very nice.
You can see them better if I don't hold them up, don't you think?
Yeah, the light
Okay.
is to speed. Very nice. French have such fancy doors, don't they?
Yes.
White Fox was great.
Oh, look at that. That's really cool.
Charlene is very fond of this one.
Here she
This
has
is going to end up in her collection.
her collection.
Her daughter's
It's beautiful.
collection.
I own a couple, at least one Lynn Pauly
Yes, you do.
chickens.
Chickens.
It's up in my studio.
Okay, now these are,
Well, that's beautiful.
My-
Look at the work you did with the darks here. That's
this
beautiful.
is my new work from Italy.
This is
Where
from
my
Italy.
style changes and I don't have ink. I dropped the ink.
Just in
So I'm just using watercolor.
no ink, or what do you mean? Here you got the ink and
These
the
are
line
ink
work.
drawings.
I see what you're saying. This,
With watercolor.
this is no.
These are pencil drawings and then watercolor.
Sure.
And I'm working with value changes,
Sure.
high contrast.
Okay.
And I don't know why this doesn't have a backing, but this was done on site in the ruins of an abbey in Volterra, Italy, near Florence.
Beautiful.
Some of these are studio work, like this was done in my studio.
Very nice.
This is from a different part of Italy, the Amalfi Coast. This is,
Clothes hanging out on the wash line.
yeah, lacy dish towels.
Hey, can you tell me about what, before you retired, did you have it in your mind that you were going to go and travel the world and paint and do watercolors and stuff?
Well, it's a dream, but I didn't know I'd actually do it. These trips were both within 4 months of each other,
Okay.
so I'm
And
feeling pretty lucky.
but when you were thinking about what you were going to do with your life after you retired, did you have any of this in mind?
Just as a dream, yeah.
And how exactly did you make your dreams come true?
Well, my last day of teaching at my retirement, they had a breakfast for people that were either retiring or had babies or getting married or whatever. And I was the last in the row, and everybody was saying what their big plans were for retirement. And they all had grandchildren or this or that and the other thing. And it got to me, and I said that my dream, what I just said, I'm going to go paint in France and probably get married somewhere down the line, which was a joke. But until then, I just hadn't really said it out loud. So then I felt like, I better do that.
Yeah, right.
You know, because everybody's like, oh, send us a postcard.
Right. Yeah.
So I went to Paris by myself, and that was fine. And then I went to Italy with a group, and it was even better.
Right.
So it's like been like a process
Sure.
of finding what works.
Yeah, that's good.
And now I'm grounded for a while. I can't keep traveling every third month.
Why not?
It costs a lot of money.
Oh, that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
So
Uh-huh.
I feel like I have a lot that I can still work on, you know, a lot of source material.
Sure.
And I'm still in touch with the instructor, and he'll send me feedback. For example,
well,
this
that's good.
piece right here, he said, that's great, but do it all over and do it this way.
Sure.
So I haven't done it over yet. He
He
wants me
gave
to,
you some instructions?
yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, back
That's
to these.
fantastic.
There's a few more.
Yeah.
This, all of these have such wonderful memories attached.
Yeah, of course.
That's the thing about it. And like this one, I was sitting with a friend on a day when we didn't really have a class, just sitting in a piazza outside,
Yeah.
having a
Yeah.
cappuccino. And this was Volterra is known for its alabaster.
Yeah, right.
So this was
That's
a window.
form of, tile or...
No, it's a stone like marble. They carve
right,
it.
stone.
Yeah.
Okay. you got
So
it.
this was a window of a shop, and it was a perfect opportunity for me to work with what I was learning about, leaving the paper white, putting in the super darks, and then the values in between. So I did it right there, and I was just ecstatic.
It's good.
Okay, this one I just finished. This one went through like a whole process of, which I'm doing now that I'm home, doing little value studies.
Sure.
Little tiny value studies, and then the sketch and pencil, and then working bigger.
It's a process.
It's a process. This one I actually also did on site of the Duomo, the dome cathedral
sure.
in
Let's go.
I have
Volterra, so
cheaters
that was a
on.
thrill. And this, I think, is the last in this pile.
It's so colorful. man.
Yeah,
Roof-
it was.
rooftops.
It was a departure because in watercolor you're not supposed to work over layers.
Well,
but
you could do glazing.
that's what this was. And most of the time I don't do glazing, but
Wing it.
that's what this was the result of.
It's all one
I've gotten good
continuous line.
feedback, so yeah.
And because it's all one.
Is that the complete
That's
view
the
of this?
complete up until that landscape that you just saw online.
You need to
every
do
other
the
spot.
book. Don't you think that?
My water bottle leak.
Don't you think that the?
This is a
Don't
disclaimer.
you think that the water bottle leaking is part of the artistic process?
No, look at it. It looks like mold.
Let's see. No,
Maybe that is mold.
that's what we call patina.
No, that's. Okay.
That's patina. Okay, so this is a quick tour of Lynn Pauly's
Check.
very fancy sketchbook that she just finished.
Yes.
This is a Stillman and Byrne Zeta series,
Delta.
series. Okay, that's extra
soft
heavy
cover.
duty.
Yes, and a soft cover. It's very fun to carry around, except you should never carry a sketchbook with the spine down in a bag that has a water bottle with carbonated water in it. Because the bottle will leak,
Yes.
and then as you're walking, the sketchbook will be in 2 inches of water. And
Maybe you
then
want the
it will
patina.
look like this.
Good, I got a lot
I think it looks
of
good.
washer and dryer.
So anyway,
Yeah, why not?
this
It adds to the
started.
experience.
Okay, this is at the Food Truck Festival in Mears Park.
Food Truck Festival in Mears Park in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Correct.
In the central part of the United States.
And this was Danny Lord playing cups and balls.
All right.
He's a magician,
There's a lot of directions we could go with that.
but we won't. And he's been doing this, demoing this for 40 years.
Nice.
Okay, we're at the State Fair, the Minnesota State Fair, St. Paul, Minnesota. And
I wouldn't know anything about
the
that.
nut rolls
Nut
session.
rolls.
It's easier if you type it.
And then here we are at Gertz's Dairy Cone. Hard to read, but somewhere along here it says, oh, Sundays, cones, malts, and Sundays.
Very nice. Good.
Good to see y'all. You too, Charlene.
Have a lovely day.
Yes. Full of driving.
We'll be in
kids
touch.
and doing laundry. Yes. Get a hold of me and we'll
These are
This is at the
monkeys.
Minnesota
see
Zoo.
you. Both of your friends.
These are the monkeys.
Jack and Croc,
Robin and I actually
gestural.
specifically, yes, so you have to because they keep moving. We specifically went to see the kangaroos
Some people
and wallabies that were here.
and some people weren't all that thrilled about them. So I don't know.
They were very fun to draw.
He taught
Very good.
in education at the college. Yeah, but I mean,
Oh, okay.
I do know those two names, and I knew
Just
I know
chilling.
They might
Fantastic.
not remember.
I know Nick's wife, Mary Foster.
Okay, finishing up. Here's Robin doing her sketching.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know Robin.
Yeah.
And on that, during that exhibit at the zoo, they had Australian food,
Shrimp on the Barbie.
shrimp on the Barbie,
He might have left
very delicious.
in the 80s, maybe.
This was from the Butterfly House.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure.
But I know those.
Great
I know
text.
those two names, so I know they know him. They might not
Very
remember me.
nice.
Thank you.
They might.
Is that your own invention, that test?
Well, it's the Charles McIntosh
Played in sports.
font, although it's been in. I learned more about it at the symposium in Chicago. I took a class with a woman who did teach us more about it.
Like an architectural font?
Yep.
Person who always.
So this is still the zoo, the Scarlet Ibis.
So you could ask him.
This is a place called Psycho Susie's. Have you
Oh,
been?
yeah, I like how you left.
I'm happy to let you know.
So you can, the bend in this is discernible by the white that you left. Look at that.
Now we have a
Nice.
That's, you leveled up right there. That's advanced. Yeah, that's really good. All right, yeah, that looks great.
I always have this thing where I can't fit everything on the page.
Sure, right, me
But-
too.
Wants to come back early. He's going to his dad's tonight.
Okay. So I volunteer at the Minnesota Museum of American Art,
Yeah.
and this says how I spend my Fridays, and I always sketch when I'm there.
Yes.
And so the next two sketches are from a show that is currently up called We the People, and it has to do with people's experiences being an American.
Sure. These are shoes or what are they?
These are shoes of a refugee. Bye, Shirley. And the shoes were worn by a child who walked 10,000 kilometers, 11,000 kilometers out of Iran to escape. And the shoes, so they're children's shoes, little tiny shoes, but what the artist did is he dipped them in copper sulfate, and so they're crystallized. The toes of the shoes are all, this is all like crystallized copper sulfate.
Pretty cool.
And the effect that it gives to, I did this as a response sketch.
Right.
Because I was so drawn to this sculpture because these shoes looked, they just spoke of the agony of walking 11,000 kilometers, how your feet would feel. But because of the copper sulfate, it oxidizes and it hardens and it's all spiky like stalagmites. That's what the shoes look like. You can't necessarily tell from my sketch, but they were just, that's what they look like. They conveyed that agony. This was another sculpture that was consisted of these copper pipes, and it was
like plumbing in my house.
Yeah, and there was the spigot, but the spigot, you could not get to the spigot because of the pipes.
Sure.
And it was called Nile. And the only reason I knew anything about why it was called Nile was because the curator had explained it to us in a training, that it symbolized, okay, the Nile historically is...
It's like the river of life, or something.
Right. For thousands of years it was a source of water
Right.
for civilizations. Now there are so many millions, really, of people in the world that don't have access to clean water.
Yeah.
And that's what this symbolizes. You cannot get in there and turn that spigot on because of the way it's
blocked out.
It's blocked off. So, okay, moving on. This was at Red River Kitchen, which is a food truck down along the river in St. Paul. So I had a delightful dinner there. Okay, this was at Wheels of Italy.
Big panoramic.
Again, I couldn't fit the car on the page. I totally intended to fit the whole car here.
Yeah.
But
You get where you get. They look very Italian.
thank you.
They're sleek.
Yeah. Okay, this is a place called Victor's Cubano restaurant in Minneapolis. And it's got wet in the... Anyway,
Very nice.
Victor's is completely colorful from the ceiling to the floor to the walls. And so it's very fun to draw there. The tablecloths are this vinyl and the seat covers are this vinyl. So, and that's just my receipt. I'm eating there. This is a little scissors that I ordered from Etsy, a handmade scissors. Collage I did before I flew to Italy. A sketch that I did of St. Paul, sitting in a little park down along the river called Railfan Park.
Yeah, I did that.
Have you? Yeah.
It's a good spot.
It is.
Sketch our hometown.
Yes.
Okay. I love this guy.
That? The purple? It's kind of a bleed. Okay, this is more just sitting down at Red Roof Kitchen on a different day. Oh, this is in Victor's. I guess I skip around here.
And when you write, what are these little things that you write?
Oh, here I was writing about Archie and I went back there. This is a different day to have their mango pancakes.
Makes sense.
That's why I drew the syrup.
Very good.
But yeah, there are thoughts about the experience.
Some mashed up receipts.
Yeah, we decided that the only way we could afford to keep going and drawing in coffee shops and eating was if we started splitting the bill. So we learned how to do that. And then here I was drawing the vinyl seat behind her.
Yeah.
And then I noticed later that I had that the vinyl was upside down, so the sketch really goes this way. Right, that's why I put this sticker there to kind of direct your eye.
Maybe only you would know that because you were there.
Yeah, but look at it. Okay.
Upside down.
Okay, these pages aren't done, but I'm doing these little portraits in gouache.
These are very nice.
These are guys that I met at the symposium. Okay, Glam Doll Donuts.
Yeah, I know about them.
This is a recent discovery of this place. I'd never been there.
They make great donuts.
Yeah.
They make donuts with bacon in it.
Do they really? Those sound awesome.
It's kind of an interesting experience.
I just love the storefront. They're colorful.
I haven't eaten any, but my friends tell me, collage may include these.
Yeah, I
Like
was eating a salad. I was at the Art Institute and I was eating a salad.
And that was it?
And I thought, what is this? They put a leaf from a tree, and turns out it's a basil leaf or bay leaf,
Sure.
right?
Well, it could be from the street. We don't know for sure. Right?
Okay, and these are just sometimes I save little graphic things.
I'm sure if they look cool.
I ordered 2 enamel pins from Paris. One is of a coffee pot, one of these type of coffee pots, espresso pot, and one is a pin of a bike. Okay, this is on the street in St. Paul.
I remember this. You took a photograph.
Yes.
And the light pole almost lines up exactly with the edge of the building.
Yeah, whereas in my
That's pretty
sketch
cool.
it looks crooked, but I know. I looked at that photograph and I wasn't aware of that when I took the
Oh, it
photograph.
was brilliant. Yeah. Lined right up.
Yeah, right
It's a
up here.
keeper.
Yeah. Okay.
Look like steps.
This was my last day volunteering at the museum in St. Paul because they're closing for
They're
renovations
going to reopen it, right?
in the next year. Yeah. And they're expanding from 5,000 square feet to 20,000 square feet.
It's a lot of space for them to put my stuff in.
Right. Mine
Hey,
too.
I'm an American. Damn it.
Yes, we'll get our work ready.
That's right.
So this is a piece from the current show, another
Very
response piece.
Beautiful.
And here was, this is interesting, these 2 pages, because every day that I would volunteer at the Minnesota Museum in St. Paul, I would go to this place called Legacy Chocolates. It's upstairs, it's a fabulous coffee shop, handmade chocolates,
Sure.
this, that, and the other thing. And now I won't be going there anymore, but
Well,
when
because the museum's closed.
it will be, but they'll be still open, but so I can go there occasionally. But my routine was for the last year, every Friday, that's where I go,
Chocolate and coffee.
and volunteering. But now I'm going to be volunteering at the MIA in
The
Minneapolis,
Minneapolis Institute of Art.
and they have agriculture.
Oh, sure.
So this is kind of like
Oh,
goodbye,
sure, right.
and then this, and they just happen. These are just the sleeves from paper cups. So I just kind of, it just,
Look cool.
yeah.
Your sketchbook, let's save this page, but it's got a heft to it.
From all the
It's got
stuff that's
some
glued into it.
serious, yeah, it's got some width to it. So that's beautiful.
This is just today now,
That's today right here.
sitting
You
here.
can look over there and kind of see Lisa photo bomb. That's great.
You did that today.
That today.
Yeah, just today, huh?
And then
And your final page?
my final page has to do with liberty.
Yes.
In different ways in my life, but I didn't finish writing liberty. Here's the Statue of Liberty from over there.
Right up there.
Oh, I have another page.
Lady
I
Liberty.
forgot.
Oh, and there's a
Yeah.
bonus page?
Well, this is actually the end. I already did the end before. My keys.
It's a great idea to finish with the end. That way, no matter how far you get, you're always done. Right?
Right, and this says
Finish the
happiness is a finished sketchbook. This is a little balloon sticker that I found on the ground that I traced.
I love it.
And then this is that's something I painted from a photograph of this man that I know.
Oh, this has been a great tour, Lynn.
Thank you.
Thanks for showing us your sketch.
Welcome. I'm so happy to finish it.
Pretty nice. Yeah.